Do you think when people say they don't like your work, that, for years I would always kind of say, oh, wow, they don't like me.
Maybe I'm stupid.
There is sort of a connection you have to.
No, they're your babies. I mean, you do, you get all these reviews, and honestly, I remember like the one negative review more than most of the positive ones. That one sort of sticks out. Like, why didn't they understand?
The negative one?
Yeah, it's like LBJ, in 1964, he smeared Goldwater. He won, nobody ever had so many votes before. No other president had. He worried about the ones he didn't get. He wanted everybody to love him. He couldn't understand why.
What an egomaniac.
Yeah, it was like that. But it is true, you do feel badly. It's hard to read a bad review.
I just read a really bad review of my film that I think I must have forgotten her name at a party or something. Like, she just says I got lost in making the film. And,
how does that make you feel?
And then she goes on to describe the film like she totally gets it. And I'm like, well, if I got lost, then how did you get all this stuff out of it? Because you just watched what I made, And then she just at the end caps it off with, she obviously got lost. But she never justifies the comment. I think that's the frustrating part, is that, the interactor in me wants to,
you want to tell her, but you can't.
I want to say, no, you can't, but I want to write her and say, did we meet somewhere and something went wrong? Or what do you mean by lost? Like, if you could just explain your criticism,
But how does that make you feel?
I just wanted to explain it. Frustrated.
When somebody says they don't like your work, do you? I've gotten past that now. I've sort of made my peace with it. But for a long time, at his age, I used to I didn't say it, but it felt in the back of my head like, oh, you don't like me.
No, she actually said that Josh, being a visionary, saved it from being an utterly frustrating exercise. So she actually somehow liked the film, but she just slammed me as the filmmaker. So no, I want to punch her out in a way, I just want to I want one moment with her. Let's get her.
I also think something that happens when you're making a film, at a certain point, you sort of see what you did. At least I get to a point where I feel I've done the best I can with this story, that this is who I am. I've said it, and, every film has certain problems. You're always trying to solve them. And I feel, okay, I've solved them the best that I can. And I don't know what else to do. And I'm done.
Yeah, there is that interesting point when you're working, when you're in the process, you're thinking, am I ever going to be finished with this? But then there is one moment where you look at it and you're like, I'm done. There's one where you don't do one single edit anymore. You call it an edit master or whatever you call it nowadays.
You make your piece, though.
And
it's never really
finished.
done.
Well, you're not going back and doing re-edits on your...
I had to.
Not now.
I had to give birth. That's why I finished Dig. It was like, that was the deadline. My son was being born. Had to finish the film. It was no coincidence. I was not going to bring this rock saga into motherhood. But after he was born, it gets into Sundance. And then, they're like, we'd really appreciate it if you take 10 minutes out of the film.
Who said that? Sundance did?
Yeah, we're not telling you what to do, but we'd really appreciate it.
Wow, that's interesting.
So you accept focus groups. Do you do focus groups?
No, but I do. Like, my wife is my best critic. I always show it to her. I always show it to some friends. Because people will say anything, and you have to be able to listen.
Do you make changes on what people say?
On what my wife says, you better believe it.
Yeah, well, you have to there.
Well, no, as I say, when it resonates, when I really get it, I do make changes. Absolutely, you really learn from those screenings. But I think I wouldn't learn if I had a bunch of big group in. At least I've never tried that. Have you done that?
20 people. 3 or 4 times when I lose sight.
Mine's on the internet the second I finish it, so.
So people write in. Would you change things after you?
No, I don't care what they say. I made this for me. I don't care. If I wanted to make it for
you never had your feelings hurt?
That's the thing about Vimeo. Well, the thing about Vimeo we were talking about, you don't really get, nobody's really saying anything negative. They just kind of don't say anything, I think.
Oh, no, they'll say, it's interesting.
Yeah, but does anybody ever say something that really, hey, geez, I think I can make that better if I do that?
Well, I just haven't run into it yet.
Originally, why we started that critics show was for the very reason that many of the people on Vimeo were like, it's just a stroke fest. It's like, everybody's like, oh, that's so wonderful, this is so wonderful, this is so wonderful.
Well, that's why you need a curator.
Yeah, exactly. And they weren't, now I make some somewhat, not even negative, just a slight critique, and they just, that's where they jump on you, which is fine.
Well, maybe what you have to do is just just point out what the good films are.
If I was a critic, I wouldn't even review something if I was going to slam it.
Truly, I would like to criticize. I mean, you're different, but as a filmmaker, I just want to review, if I were a critic, things that I love.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to review things that I didn't. The truth is, as a reviewer, a critic, because you identify with the filmmaker. And
so you're saying it hurts you when somebody says they don't like it?
You know how hard it was. It took the person a year to do it, and here I am sitting down, and in a couple of hours I'm writing out my review.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't serve a purpose and all that, but I enjoy reviews. Like there was a guy who reviews poets. He only reviews poets he loves, and it's great because he's really showing you, okay, this is a poet. I love him. Here's why. Right. And then I get it, and then I read that. I don't want him to just...
That's the greatest thing in life, is appreciating life. That's why we make films, because we appreciate life and we appreciate humanity and the journey and everything.
Yeah, but now you're falling into the trap of these shows where people scream at each other.
I love those shows.
I'm not saying it's Jerry Springer.
I thrive off negativity.
Go for it.
But I like it. I like watching controversy.
But I'm going to disagree with you here. You say,
and I'll defend to the death your right to say it.
Okay, thank you. You don't just go off saying, "Oh, FDR was a wonderful guy. He did all these wonderful things. He's fabulous. The end of the Depression, World War II." You don't do that. You critique him by saying, well, he did have an affair with Lucy Mercer, and she was there the day he died, and his wife was not. The point is, you are critiquing him, and you are being somewhat critical of him, are you not?
Yeah, he's a human being, and I'm trying to show the human being. But when somebody is criticizing a film, you often feel like they're kind of making their living off, like they're like parasites living off of what you're doing.
Bingo, and they're trying to define themselves by going against the grain. Like if you got a bunch of positive reviews, then they come in, they're going to be like, I'm going to be the special person that.
You sometimes feel that. I mean, but you got to be careful because.
Well, what if they're offering constructive criticism?
That should be before the release.
You're the one that said.
Constructive afterwards.
Wait a minute. You're the one that said you'd like her to tell you specifically why she didn't like it.
I want her to justify her critique.
Well, that's constructive criticism.
I think she's lame not to.
It's sort of in the spirit. There are some critics that love to do it because they like.
Well, I don't want to be mean.
Yeah,
I don't ever
somehow it's the spirit of the thing. You can tell the people that are just trying to make their reputation by, being wry and ironic.
And then they should at least write poetically about it.
You say you like a show, you like reading about all these great poets. But I don't know if, you might lose interest in that if just all you ever saw was just, oh, this is great.
No, but they're showing me why, In other words, I want you to be able to say, why are these films, what is it about those films? Because people don't know.
But many of the clips are things like that make political statements, and I will go one way and my partner there will go a different way. And it's not necessarily, sometimes we're just commenting on the content, sometimes we're commenting on, there's different ways of looking at work. And personally, the problem with, getting back to why we're talking about this, the problem with Vimeo is exactly what you just said. Yeah. Everybody goes out there and says, oh, your shit's wonderful.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you don't even like that, do you?
But at the same time, I'm not taking up too much of their time, so I can't see why it would piss them off in any way. If I went and saw a horrible 2-hour movie, I'm a little bit pissed off.
Gets me angry if somebody goes to 2 hours and 20.
I would disagree again because the economies of scale come down. When you're in the internet, 7 minutes is like 2 hours in a theater.
Yeah, that's true.
You're sitting there at your desk and everything.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not going to check my email. I'm not. I'm just going to watch this.
Sean, how much do you give somebody before you're off, man? How much do you give them?
30 seconds.
Okay, so you got 30 seconds to prove your case.
How much time have you given me?
At least 10 minutes, maybe.
Well, he's young. I'd give you a whole lot more than 10 minutes. But I want to do a little thing right now where you ask Sean something about what he does.
Yeah, what do you do?
What do? I go and I film somebody for 4 or 6 hours.
Yes.
Edit for a couple weeks, find really cool music.
You missed a step.
What do you mean?
Well, you don't just go film the guy. You find the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's as important.
What am I going to come out with all my secrets?
Yeah, but that's the key. Is that you are spending time. You have an instinct, and you are courageous enough to go and do it. So how do you find the guy?
Various ways, word of mouth, reading something, and if I find it compelling enough, if it sucks me in, then
that's the important step. Place where you make this decision. Because this is totally for you, and there's a zillion things out in the world, and you head in on this quirky little thing.
You know, it's not like it's a big theatrical release where if no one shows up, I'm screwed. It's out on the internet.
And so I'm saying, you know, you're taking the risk and saying,
Yeah.
I'm interested in this guy. I think other people are going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I think that's what artists do. You know?
Then I go find the guy and make it. That's the easy part.
But it is curious to me how you've come to make the decision that, okay, Dig, how did you get to, why'd you?
I wanted to look at the collision of art and commerce and what happens to an artist, and for myself to find out whether I could maintain my integrity and reach a mass audience. And so I started with 10 bands on the verge of getting signed to see what would happen to these dysfunctional nuclear families as I saw them. And that's how I started Dig. And then I heard the music of the Brian Jonestown Massacre, and I thought this was some band I'd missed from the 60s, and I thought, you know, and then I said to my friend, wow, this is a great band. And they said, oh yeah, no, they're up in San Francisco and every label's interested in signing them. And I thought, oh, perfect. They fit the paradigm that I'm looking at. They'll be one of the 10 bands. So I go up to San Francisco and I meet Anton, and instantly he emerges as a character that's so at war with the industry that he's not even yet embraced by it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're in
That's why we do it.
documentaries, really. And I think the hardest thing, in a way, is that stage, because you see, that's what I mean, you see young people have this instinct and they're out and they're filming. They don't quite know why. I don't mean, like...
But that's the art of the whole thing. I mean, there are, you know, again, millions of people can have cameras. 10 of them can tell beautiful stories. Okay, Sean, it's your turn. You got to ask David and you got to ask Ondi a question of something you're interested in.
Something I've wanted to ask Ondi is, like your two main films, your two major films, one took like 8 years to shoot and the other took 10. So you were like shooting those simultaneously?
Yeah.
Is there another one that's been going on?
Well, Join
That's
Us, my middle child.
Okay.
My little child.
That's something my friends all asked me when we
My
left.
jazz record.
How long have you been filming that?
Well, I finished it. It's out.
Oh,
It's 2.5 years in the middle. So
okay.
Dig started in 1995, ended in November or October of 2003, and premiered at Sundance in 2004. We Live in Public started in 1999 and ended in 2009.
Okay.
And Join Us was from when Bush won, from like 2000.
Oh, okay.
Late 2004, 2005 to 2007. So, in order to film things over time, you kind of have to do film simultaneously.
Yeah.
What do you think about, like in Europe, documentaries are watched a lot. But what do you think about this country? We don't seem that interested in them, do we?
Obviously, there's been a tremendous transformation, like, you know, Earth has shifted when it comes to documentaries, and that people really know about them now, and they're out there.
Reality TV changed that in an ironic way. Reality.
What about HBO, man? HBO, I give them a lot of credit. I mean, they really, and Showtime, they've really brought that documentary category at the Oscars into the fold. I mean, where else would you ever have seen any of these films? I mean, used to be you'd watch the Oscars, you know, and you'd be like...
I figured people weren't watching documentaries because they were thinking they're like history books or eating spinach or something that's too good for you to be entertaining.
Yeah, no, that's true. They're, you know, education.
That's why I think reality TV helped.
I like The Real World. I watch that all the time. I mean, it's not like I watch them because they're good.
You know what disturbs me? The way people demean themselves for the camera. That's the part. That's the thing in the bunker that bothered me too.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't stand the way people put themselves like, just, you know, jump in a pile of worms just to be on camera. It's just
Yeah.
Well, that's this whole celebrity concept, but really that's kind of what your documentary talks about, and it's kind of what Twitter's based on. To me, Twitter celebritizes individuals. Follow me. That means that I'm a celebrity. It's what Josh said. He said that he actually refixed Warhol's. Warhol said, you know, everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. What did Josh say?
in a lifetime, he says every day.
Every day people want 15 minutes of fame. That is Twitter.
You know what I say?
What?
I say we don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
I say we don't want to. We leave the womb, our umbilical cord is cut, and we spend the rest of our lives trying not to feel that way. We jump in relationships, groups, cults, religions, and now with the internet, 24/7.
I agree.
feel like we're not
I
alone.
feel like that all the time.
Connected.
When someone stops caring about that last film, I'm putting out something else so people care about it again, so you can feel connected. So it's just...
I mean, I think that's very profound. I feel like there's no substitute for a real connection, but these are substitutes. Like people come home and they turn television on right away. Fills up the the space. There's a person talking to them. Oh, it's Oprah, you know.
Somebody, but now it's two-way. So now they really can feel like they're not alone. And you know what? In a way, you're not. And in a way, you're more alone than ever. And that's something that Josh says in the bunker. He says, the more people around me, the more alone I feel.
The interesting thing is we all tell stories about other people. And I don't know if there's it's like we find somebody interesting and then we want to tell a story about that person. Don't you find that kind of interesting?
In a certain way, I find in every film I've made, I see myself. I mean, what you think that, that they're just out there and it's just LBJ or it's FDR or whatever. But I see myself in every one of these stories.
Because you're looking at the human drive and emotionality underneath the decisions and actions that they took. Renoir said we all make the same film again and again and again.
Yeah.
It's funny, and I also take I've been a photographer for a long time, and a while ago I was thinking, wow, I want to really change my style. So I started fooling around, trying to do some different kinds of photos. Then all of a sudden I realized, what the fuck am I doing here, man? What I dig about my photos, and I hope other people do, is what I do. It's like you look at a Spielberg picture, your picture, it's kind of what you just said. I mean, you don't really want to reinvent your style. Your style is your style, and that's what you want to put out there.
Form follows content. So your photograph of, for me, a photograph of a girl out in Ethiopia will be completely different than a photograph of Josh Harris in a cyber bunker.
The thing is that you're always there, so there's something that's similar in all your pictures, I would say, probably.
The content changes. When I watch one of your films...
But you are in there, in a way. I don't know where...
I'm up close and personal. I'm deep in it. It's intimate. There's certain things like that.
You don't think your editorial style...
I am an editor, and I'm absolutely all about a continuous flow. I will not let you get to the fridge. You will not stand up during my movie or I've failed. That's how I feel about it.
But that's your style.
That's my style. But that's a style of, I think, of any filmmaker would not want you to go to the fridge.
Okay, like when I saw Dig and I saw your other picture, I saw similarities.
Did you go to the fridge?
No. But I saw similarities to your style, which I like. I mean, David's saying I can spot yours a million miles away. You have a very unique style.
I mean, I think it is, and yet what I try not to do, because the formula word is scary. In other words, I want to have actors in the last one. I know, because I'm agreeing with you. Yeah. Just saying, the danger is that you don't try different things, like bringing animation in, because that's what I needed to tell the story. But I think at the heart,
those are things. Those are things. Those are shots.
The things I'm looking at, maybe the underlying emotionality. There's certain threads that are similar in my films that are all. Really, our films are about all of us. My films are about all of us and what we're willing to give up. That's what my films are.
Okay, well there you are.
Yeah, I'm an aware human being, but at the same time, I feel like the films are totally different. All of them.
Matter.
The style,
the
the Super 8 film that I shoot
those are elements.
But all of us and what we want to give up. Tell me more about that, because that's and that's hard.
That's what they're all about.
Those are elements. He puts animation.
They seem like they're about megalomaniacs, but they're actually about all of us.